You remove the energetic imprint. You bring in the light to that place where it was held in the mind and in the heart and in the body. And when that happens, that incident of childhood is no more an effective trigger. It
Yeah.
leaves. And you start being able to walk with greater confidence, go around a corner, take a new route that you've never taken, trusting yourself that if I want to take that route and I'm being impressed to do that, I'm going to do it with full heart and full presence.
Welcome to the Mind Tracks podcast, where we explore practical tools to expand awareness, support healing, and live with greater clarity. I'm Dr. Paul Scheele, and today I'm joined by Dr. Linda Burnham, a naturopathic doctor, teacher, and creator of physical spiritual medicine. In our conversation, we'll explore how healing goes beyond the physical body and involves multiple dimensions of our being. We'll look at 5 key areas that influence well-being, understanding the body as a sacred messenger, exploring the 5 levels of being, recognizing the role of energy in consciousness, supporting regeneration from the inside out, and cultivating presence and intentional awareness in the healing process. We'll also discuss how these ideas can help you better understand your own body, your experiences, and your capacity for transformation. Let's get going. Hello, Linda. Welcome to the Mind Tracks podcast. Really good to be with you.
Hello, Paul. It's a delight today.
I've known your work for a long, long, long time. And this is our first opportunity to meet. I'm really delighted about it. And for those that are with us on the podcast that don't know the kind of contributions you've made in your lifetime, I'd like to start out with a distinction that you've made as a naturopath and as a healer for quite some time, what you call physical spiritual medicine. Could you describe that?
Yeah, I think the most important thing at first is that things that are filled with life force, truly imbued with the grace of the divine in whatever way you hold that, really are the agents of healing. Now, for me, because I'm a quote, quote, naturopath, natural substances, herbs and food and hands-on and energetics are what can move and heal in profound ways. Because if the divine or the energy of life imbues a process or a technique or a philosophy or someone's hands, it becomes the instrument that can move someone forward in their life. And it's physical, yes, what I'm talking about right now, but it absolutely is imbued with the spirit of life. And so for me, there are avenues of healing which are physical, they're emotional, they're mental, and they're also profoundly spiritual because we are spiritual beings. Basically, fundamentally, that's who we are. And anything that can address the disharmonies, the inconsistencies, the lack of follow through, or whatever it is that we personally need, can be addressed by certain things that are imbued with life force and practices that bring all kinds of practices, Paul, from all kinds of religious and spiritual histories, can change the tone of our frequency, of our mind's thoughts, of our emotions. And so for me, it was always go to the light, go to that which has the greatest love, go to that which moves your heart individually. And that is individual for everybody.
I
There's no
love
one
this.
way. I do too. It's been my life. There's no one way, there is no one path, there is no one herb, there is no one drug that can do what needs to happen. It has to be everything together moving to the center of ourselves.
Well, and I love the distinction that you're making because very often when a person is faced with a gnarly problem, a problem
Yeah.
that isn't easily taken care of, we're looking for the one solution, the ultra solution. If I could just do this, then everything would be taken care of. But it's a lot of little things. For example, the water that I drink, I charge with my intention. And we'll talk about those kinds of practices as we
Yeah.
go. But let's talk first about this tendency of ours that when we have a symptom, we're looking for an expert fix to get rid of the symptom. How do you help people recognize that the symptom is just a messenger?
Well, I think it's actually pretty easy. My way of helping people understand is that if you have a center place, which is your wholeness, this is where you want to go, then you might need to draw from all directions of your life to touch that place, to move it. There is never any one way. And I have patients or clients or students come to me and they say, this isn't working. I say, okay, let's find another way. Let's take another avenue. It's like the spokes of a wheel. Take a spoke, take a spoke. Some of the spokes will work really well, some won't work at all for a single person. You have to be able to be flexible enough and open enough and intuitive enough to actually choose the way. But they have to know that we are whole beings. We are a multiplicity of essences. We are multidimensional. And so calling on the dimensionality that life gives us to bring us to wholeness, I've not had a problem helping people understand that. Maybe because once they come to me, they've already made the decision to be open enough to try something new.
Well, that's true. And I'm thinking even at a simpler level to really be able to listen to what the body is trying to communicate.
Absolutely, Paul.
Because very often, here's a symptom, and now we're trying to fix the symptom. And oftentimes, where that takes us is in all kinds of different directions. I remember working with a woman named Dr. Susan Lark, and she had terrible PMS and she needed to deal with it. She was a medical doctor. She tried to fix it with medicine. And after a year and tracing all the different side effects of all of the different allopathic
Yeah.
remedies that she took, nothing had improved. And it was only worse. And it wasn't until then that she began to take a more holistic approach.
It often we are pushed to the limit of what we can handle. Doesn't matter whether we're pushed by grief or we're pushed by pain or we're pushed by physical back problems, or it's always normally when someone makes a choice for alternatives, they literally, their back is against the wall because we are so schooled and so inculcated with every commercial on television that tells you this will do it for you. It might do these two things and kill you, but it'll do this for you. And we're used to that. The other thing, Paul, is that you and I particularly are in the opening, let's say, part of our culture that got used to instant mashed potatoes. Mom made them. They helped her out. No matter what her problem was, she could throw those potato flakes in the water and stir them up and feed us. So instant potatoes is what we're kind of used to. So we kind of have to go away from that consciousness and say instant potatoes could help your mom. But quite frankly, a fresh potato has this in it, and it'll give you far more than a boxed potato. And
Yeah.
I find that people can understand that.
Yeah, the macronutrients in an orange compared to this little pill called vitamin C is
Oh,
tremendously different.
and
And
what the vitamin C pill doesn't have is the life force because it's been
life,
moved through processing.
yes, yes,
Yeah,
indeed. So you describe human beings as existing through five levels of being. And would you just take a moment to walk through these distinctions?
absolutely.
A lot of us hear about mind, body, and spirit, but you make a couple of additional.
I make occasional additions, and the five was already a subtraction. But five people could understand and heal, so I went with five. And what it literally means, it takes us into quantum physics, Paul, because we are multidimensional. We have physical bodies that function, have form, have structure, and can be affected by life. That's true. Those physical cells that make our physical body are spinning at a very distinctly slower rate of being than any other part of us. But we also have a energy, and energy can be monitored. If you walk down the hall and you stub your toe on something, all of a sudden, not only does your body hurt and you're hopping around and you're probably screaming or squawking, it's affecting how you feel emotionally. You're less confident, you're just wandering around because your toe got stubbed. And then your mind starts going, oh, that was such a terrible. Why did I do that? Why wasn't I watching? And we start that level of self-judgment, as I did when I said I was late this morning. And then from that place, um, it moves into other levels, the mental level, how we think, and then how we spiritually view ourselves. So I made 5 levels. Each level spins at its own rate of spin. And every level of our being has its own distinct sphere of influence. So we have a physical body. We know that that's here. But we also know that if you come close to the body like this, or even your hands, you'll begin to feel something between your hands. Now, that's what's commonly called the etheric body, the light body, the energy body. That energy body is us. It has our signature, but it spins at a higher rate of speed than the physical cellular molecular structure. But it is real, it is vital, and it is distinctly its own sphere of influence. It stands out anything from 2 to 6 inches from our physical body. But the key is it also interpenetrates our physical body. So everything energetically that we're affected by, that we think, that we put out to the universe, that we feel, also affects our physical function intimately and immediately. Now that's our etheric body. Then we have feelings. They spin at a faster rate of speed than our etheric body or our physical body. But, Paul, they interpenetrate every part of our etheric body. They interpenetrate every single cell and aspect in every space within our physical body. So if we have a feeling, it affects our energy, it affects our physical, because it's one and the same. But that emotional one has its own sphere of influence, stands out a little farther, helps create a more complex and larger auric field. Then we think, but we have 2 ways of thinking. We can think concretely. Concrete thought is someone who, well, again, in our era, about 50 years ago, decided a portable massage table would be a great idea. But how do you create it? They didn't know how, because massage tables were locked onto the floor. They were big, heavy things. They were immovable. They weren't very comfortable. It wasn't a massage table. So someone had to have the concrete magic of mind to look at that and solve the problem of how can I make this a portable massage table? And lo and behold, it took them several years, and they made portable massage tables that are comfortable and lightweight, and we can use them. Someone's creative mind thought it was necessary, but their concrete mind created the newness and then built it. So that's the other side of our mind, is the creative mind. It's the mind that receives the inspiration and the I would say the spiritual know-how that something is necessary. And once
Is
we
that
know,
is that the same as an intention, do you think?
I think it's an intention inspired
An
by something
impulse.
creative, by something
Yeah.
creative. You see a problem, you say, I think I can solve that. Right?
Mhm.
The creation of the thought of, I can solve that, or maybe there's an answer here, is the creative mind. And then the creative mind has to employ the concrete mind to create it and make it practical in the world. So here we take the mind, and I've divided it into 2 necessary aspects. And beyond that, there are spiritual bodies. And they can talk about it in terms of the Buddhic body or the causal body, and much old esoteric writing really is housed in that level of how incredibly complex and unique we are. But every one of these bodies are a massive frequency that is held at a particular rate and affects everything below it. So everything we think with our creative mind will energize the physical eventually, and will actually maybe get something done. And everything we do physically is going to affect that creative mind. It is reciprocal, it moves and flows through all of our being, but we are multiplicity, multidimensional. And if we know that, we can start working on all those levels to heal ourselves.
So in terms of diagnosing, when someone comes with a set of presenting symptoms to you, are you looking for those areas where these bodies are or levels are out of alignment and you working to bring them back into alignment? Or what is the healing
There,
process
there,
then?
there are a number of alternative or complementary processes that will do any of those. I mean, the world of alternatives now is very big, and people can choose to do the kind of thing that changes the levels, shifts the chakras, brings greater flow. All that stuff can be done manually with hands to a certain extent. But enlisting the mind and the heart of the person you're working with, of bringing their ability to intentionally work within their own being is the important part. I can only do so much. I can offer, I can be intuitive, I can listen to what they say as deeply as possible. And from that deep listening, I will get an intuitive and can ask them a question, get greater clarity. I personally will also ask them if they have blood tests, bring them, let me look at them. If they have other tests they've taken, sure, use the medical technology that we have, but don't rely on it as the only answer at all. You know, blood tests are a pretty standard thing. A CBC panel, that's what you normally get when you go to the doctor. And they'll tell you what many of the blood levels are for you. That's great. Then what was evolved actually was deep microscopy. And microscopy is something different. It literally looks at the blood, but it looks at your blood not from the standpoint you took your blood and it's dead blood from that point. Any blood test you get is read on dead blood. It's what you are at this moment, extracted, you know, manipulated. But there are ways of getting live cell analysis as well to look at that blood. And a live cell blood, you look at your blood from the moment and it's alive and you're watching it. And that's dark field microscopy. And so there are different technologies that have come forward that allow us to do more than the technological tests. They'll still be called tests, but they're not destroying or, excuse me, killing something to look at it. They're actually enlivening something and saying, oh, look at that. The first time I saw my live blood, it was like I saw myself. I was shocked. I was speechless. I could feel my emanation coming off of that video from my blood. And it was like, oh, my goodness, this is real blood in me. I got terribly excited. And so I studied dark field microscopy. I don't do it. I send to people who really study it. But I have such great gratitude that someone, it was a guy named Enderlein in Germany in the 40s and 50s, who developed the dark field microscopy and his work with live blood. So, you know, you use every tool you can get. You listen well. You hear between the words and the lines. You ask questions that can penetrate, because when we're ill, we have blockages, we have resistances. Somewhere in our body, there's not flow. And we can be resistant to getting flow because we've cut it off emotionally or mentally or physically because we don't want to feel the pain or the physical pain or emotional pain. We just don't. So you have to work with people.
Yeah. So I would ask, in the years that you've been doing this work, what kinds of emotional patterns or belief patterns do people come with that sometimes interfere with the healing process that you're inviting them into?
I think one of the most important areas is what do they think and feel about themselves?
Ah,
Can they really look at themselves in it with a clear eye and maybe see what might need to shift, but can value what is valuable within them? It's that level of confidence and self-love and
worthiness.
worthiness. That's the self-love. Are they worthy to heal? You know,
Yeah,
can they be worthy of literally absorbing the help that someone's giving them if it's hands-on? Can they say, yes, I want this. I want change, because any illness will necessitate change. A change of how you think, a change of how you feel, the change of how you operate in the world. You know, it has to initiate some kind of change needs to happen.
that's
And that can
nice.
be frightening to people, you know.
My sister had a stage 3B small cell carcinoma in her lungs, and it was too close to the aorta to do surgery. So she went through a treatment program. But before she started it, I met with her and I said, let's talk to the cancer and see
Yeah.
what it has to say. And you open to that? And she said, yes. And when she contacted the cancer, it was very clear. She asked it, "Why are you here?" And she immediately just broke into sobs. She said, "It's right. It said that I'm here to live and bring joy into the world, and I haven't been living that way for the last 7 years."
That's
So
powerful, Paul.
ask it if you go through this treatment, is that a way for it to leave your body if you choose to live in joy? And first of all, it
Particularly
said,
if you released it
right, yeah.
inwardly. Yes.
And that's what it said. It said, yes, if you live in joy, I don't need to be here. And secondly, this treatment protocol will be a way for me to help leave your body. And, there was only 9 people that did that treatment with her. There was a cohort of people that went through it. And after 15 months, she was the only person alive. And
Wow.
after 2.5 years, she was cancer free. And it was so clear that the illnesses, the reasons for that being, I had a prostate cancer and I asked it, are you ready to go? And what do I have to do? And it was so clear. And year and a half out, I'm doing great. The idea is a powerful one when we can listen, respect, and be ready for the messages that come, right?
Absolutely. I have also dealt with breast cancer. Um, and the peculiarity for my breast cancer is two breast cancers were diagnosed on the same day in each breast, totally radically different from each other. They had
Wow.
no similarities. There was no single treatment they could do, period. And I elected not to do any treatment but my own. And I dealt with a lot of alternative stuff that worked well, but I had to be willing to say, why are you here? What do you want to teach me? What can I learn? What needs to shift?
Yeah.
And again, I'm doing fine 4 years later.
Yay.
And you choose the path you need. Allopathic paths can be incredibly helpful as long as you're not putting all of your mental and emotional energy into that medical thing as the only thing that's going to help you.
Yeah,
You
that
did with your
ultra
sister, Paul.
solution.
What you
Yeah.
did with your sister is brilliant.
Oh,
That's
thank
really a
you.
wonderful story to hear.
Well, I have an issue. I went to the podiatrist for a problem in the bottom of my right foot. And I said, I think I have plantar wart. I need to have it treated. Can you do something with it? He said, it's not plantar wart. It's these two toes, the ring finger and the middle finger toes, are the bones are too close together and they're pinching on each other. So I'll make you an orthotic that will help to separate that. Well, here I am a year into it, it really hasn't changed. And after, reading about your work, I was thinking, what's the message here that could really help? I go out and play pickleball. I'm wearing the orthotics, and every once in a while I take a hard step and it's like, oh, really hurts.
Unbelievably painful.
And so one of the messages that came is that, the bottoms of my feet, that's my understanding. And sometimes when I
Yes,
put
yes.
my best foot forward, I'm doing it too aggressively. And maybe I had to just back off a little bit and go a little more gently. But what would you say if I came to you for a treatment on this?
I'd ask a few things, Paul. Number one, I'd say, I'd like to know the history of your feet. Have you had any problems with your feet, any injuries? Has a bull stepped on your foot in the middle of the rodeo? Kind of thing. Has there been any physical injury? And people would tell, have you had any physical injury with that foot at
Yeah,
all?
no.
It just popped up,
I I did twist the ankle quite
possibly.
a quite a while ago, and Chenny Lin did some healing on it. It was amazing. After 3 months, it hadn't really healed, and he did a quick healing, and it
He's
was
amazing.
virtually done. Yeah.
Now, has
So
he worked on this issue?
no. Mm-mm.
That is something, if you have something that has worked by a practitioner who's helped you, take it back to the one who may be able to have the insight to help you or direct you where you could. That would be
Yeah.
my first thing to say. The second thing to say is get a lot of very good footwork. foot reflexology, someone who understands the feet and the legs and the hip, because it connects all the way up to how you walk and step forward in your life.
Right
And is it the
hip.
left or is it the right? Which
Hmm.
foot is it for you, Paul?
It's the right one.
So the right, that's very, you're right-handed, yes? So
Hmm.
that's your mode of action, your mode of executive energy. It's I will do. That's where your concrete mind is going to come in and take care of the issues, right?
Yeah.
And you said earlier, moments ago, you said understanding and that you want to move a little less aggressively. The other side of that moving less aggressively is what more do I need to understand here? There's obviously something more that is trying to seep up from the earth, from the grace of the mother, to give me something. And I've resisted that because my feet are the understanding, but our feet are also the portal to earth energy.
Yeah,
Got
that's
both
good.
going there.
What?
And if you can find someone who understands that and begin working not just your foot and all those tarsals, but coming up and understanding it's part of the connective tissue, which is everywhere. It's the
Yeah.
envelope that wraps itself around every single function, every single organ system of our body. And you have someone who can begin manipulating that and talking to you at the same time,
Good.
asking you
Yeah.
questions of what they find.
Thanks. In the steam room yesterday, I was doing some Feldenkrais work, and basically it's rotating each joint
Yeah,
20 times and then interlacing my fingers into the
yeah,
toes and doing it, from both directions. And I sat with it afterwards because the idea is to be present before, be present after, notice the changes that happen. And I was getting some really interesting insight coming, especially about
yeah,
that ring finger toe, is that
yeah,
there was something important that wasn't being allowed to
forward.
fully flex and connect. So I'll keep exploring it.
There's also a yoga toes, which you probably know,
Yes.
and that will help give the brain will begin saying, "I can open, I can open, I can open." Now
Nice. Yeah,
that
and
just using that.
I do a yoga practice every day, and I have a little ball that I can work
I
with on
was
my
just
foot.
gonna.
So,
There's a group. Someone who's made a bunch of different size balls. You probably
yep,
have that, and you
yep.
just do that process. I got problems fasciitis, out of the blue. Never out of the blue. It takes a long time for
Right.
that to, and they wanted to put me in a boot. I couldn't sleep in the boot. It just wouldn't work. I did it once, and it was like, no, I can't do this. So I began manipulation, and as I was manipulating and working with that small ball set. I just began to love my life, love the path I've walked, love the routes that have opened up for me and the routes that have closed. What paths did I walk? How did the earth and spirit give me what I needed at any given time? And for me, it was the left. So it was the receptivity, it was the feminine nature, it was that level of my being that had closed down. And so part of my opening up the heel and the whole leg, and then I had to work the Achilles tendon. Then you have to work the calf because you don't get plantar fasciitis unless your calf is like rock, So I had to
Yeah.
learn for myself more about that. But it was, what's my path? How has it given me my life? And do I like that one?
Well, this is perfect. And I think what you're talking about is a phrase that you use that I wasn't really totally clear on. It's the idea of regeneration from the inside out.
Yep.
I mean, there is this recognition that first cause is within, but tell us, what is that concept?
So many people reach for the bottle, the pill, the liquid. Um, Normally allopathically, what's out there on the drugstore shelves. That's when they're trying to, there's an absolute a place for that. But that can't be where you put all of your energy and all of your trust is in the bottle of pills, which is outside in. If you're careful about how you eat, do you take in food that is principally organic? If it's organic, it's going to have more life force than conventional food because it doesn't have the chemicals. Do you prepare it well? Like one of the things I was taught years ago, and I still adhere to, if you're going to make a fresh salad, have 7 vegetables in it, period. Every salad you make, seven. Now that means you can have a couple kinds of lettuces. That's two, right? But you can also have your cabbage, and you can have your red pepper, and you can have your carrots, and you can put your jicama in there, and you can all of that. You make a salad that is like a bouquet of life. And if you're eating that salad, you're getting much more nutrition for the inside to work with. Then you learn to chew. Do you chew or do you just swallow? If you just swallow, you're eating like a snake. It doesn't help much because we don't digest that well. You've got to drink enough water so that your systems have the flow. If you don't drink enough water, your kidneys can't be clear, number one. Number two, you don't have the water to transport the chewed and semi-digested food through your digestive organs. If you don't have enough water, it'll just sit in a crevice and it'll stay in that curve and it won't move. And then it creates a cesspool of energy. So you're not to chew, and you have to learn how to drink water, not when you're eating, but every other time. You've got to learn to when you're blessing your water or your food, be aware that you, Paul, and everyone who's listening can bring the life force back into something because you're a portal of life force. You are living electromagnetic energy, not just mechanical. And you have that grace of living spirit from the divine, whatever that is for you, because they're all right, you know. And if you do that, you can bring what you're putting in your body, what you're putting on your body, um, what you're moving your body through in terms of your life. What books are you reading? What are you choosing to imbibe and absorb as the food of your life? If you begin being aware of all that, again, those are so many avenues, spokes of the wheel that lead to the center of yourself. And so you begin making decisions from that space and bringing, it's all about life force, which fundamentally is the love of God, whatever that means to you.
So when I am preparing to eat, I always have my hands around the food. I also imagine taking out anything that might have gotten in there that isn't very helpful and
Right.
really blessing it so that it matches the DNA
For you.
and brings to
Yes,
me
that's
what it is
that's
that's needed.
exactly it, Paul. We can change the DNA. We know that now.
Yeah,
And when
yeah.
you're blessing, you're shifting the DNA of those fruits, those vegetables, that chicken, that beef, that fish, whatever you're eating, into something that has a signature of life that you carry. And
Good.
it's going into the food.
I always finish that blessing by imagining this food coming in me. So I also feel the flow of it into my cells because the cells are the things that will do all that they need to give us what we need, right?
They
For the
sure
life.
will.
Yeah.
They absolutely will.
So
And so that's what I mean by inside out is also what are
yeah,
you thinking? What are you thinking? Literally. What
yeah,
are you feeling? Can we know thyself is the old adage from the ancient whatever. And
yeah.
any way you can know yourself better, you will have a better possibility of having vitality and well-being. Now, it doesn't mean that spiritually focused people have it easy. Sometimes spiritually focused people will have tremendously difficult challenges because they have the substance to regroup around something and bring something new into their being, and so it doesn't mean that if you believe in spirit and spiritual energy, you're going to have a good, easy life that doesn't test you. No, not at all. You will be tested. You're being tested with that pesky thing in your toes. It's not pleasant. Walking around and having it, not knowing when you're going to step and it's going to shock you, not pleasant, but there's something there that's important, or it wouldn't be happening to you.
I like this. And, it gets to, I think, what you talk about is presence and loving intentionality. As we wrap up, could you
Mm,
kind of give what that means to our listener?
absolutely. It's one of the most important concepts in my life and definitely in what I've taught. I teach my practitioners to be 100% aware of the moment, aware of themselves. And because it's a hands-on process, Rejuve is, the other work I teach is not, but the Rejuve is hands-on. Therefore, when
Okay,
someone,
now people might not hear what rejuve is.
thank you
Now,
very much,
I have
Paul.
experienced it, so I know
It's
that it's a marvelous process, but if you
You
could,
know, 40 years ago, I began getting downloads in terms of the energetics of the head. Now, foot reflexology means every single aspect of the foot is reflexing some part of your body, and it's very valid and effective. Head reflexology is actually the same, but there are very few people who teach head reflexology today. And it means that there are places on our head, all around our head and our face, that actually access every part of our body, every part of our being, every part of our mental state. And so facial rejuvenation was a name I was given 45 years ago. And I thought it was a great name. I should have been wise enough to copyright it because 15 years later, everybody uses it. For me, that's why I had to put my name on it, Burnham Systems Facial Rejuvenation, to set it apart from the marketing that was being done at that time. And um, it is a hands-on process that reweaves the energetics of the physical, mental, and emotional bodies. Well, all the levels of our being get touched, and whatever is appropriate and right for the person will unfold. And because presence is there, there's no push. You're not imposing your will onto someone you're working on. You are allowing their energy to inform yours, and you're allowing spiritual energy to inform you. And from that mix, you're able to touch. And in that touch, you have to love the person. Doesn't matter who they are, Paul, what they've ever done, whatever their problem is, you have to be in a place where you can absolutely love that person in that moment through the entire session. And that requires presence. You have to be aware of yourself, aware of your light, aware of your ability to offer that light and healing to another, and the willingness that both of you people together in that moment are willing to do. Are you willing to move and shift and let the flow of light go between you? If that happens, it is a miraculous experience. I did Rejuve and taught it so I called it Rejuve because it was easier. People could say it. Burnham Systems Spatial Rejuvenation is a mouthful, I know. And so we brought it down to the abbreviation of Rejuve. And it is rejuvenation, but it has to be on every level because what could be screwing up your liver could be an incident that happened when you were a child. One of the stories I tell is, you have a little girl gets born into a family. She has an older brother, and he loves to scare her unexpectedly. He'll come around a corner, he'll come out the door, he'll jump in a room and go boo, and she'll be scared. And so for years as her childhood, it was it was a game. He didn't do it negatively. He just enjoyed seeing her jump, right? And yet what happens to that young girl is she was aware that if she has to go around a corner, she'd better make sure who's there. If she's going to walk that path, she's going to check it out very carefully because she's been conditioned to be responding to a shock or a surprise. And that puts a holding pattern in your being, a holding pattern on your liver, a holding pattern on your kidneys. And so as we heal those kinds of old, let's say, subtle injuries that we aren't aware of, that inform us.
Imprints,
You got it.
traumas.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, exactly. That inform us as who we are. So what we're
Mhm.
doing in Rejuve, and I feel what I'm doing in any of the healing work I'm doing, body work or whatever, is that you're removing the obstacles that created that. Oh, oh. And so people aren't going to have that level of breathing, let's say, that was a symptom they felt, because they're
Mhm.
always being surprised. You remove the energetic imprint. You bring in the light to that place where it was held in the mind and in the heart and in the body. And when that happens, that incident of childhood is no more an effective trigger. It
Yeah,
leaves. And you start being able to walk with greater confidence, go around a corner, take a new route that you've never taken, trusting yourself that if I want to take that route and I'm being impressed to do that, I'm going to do it with full heart and full presence.
I love that. So, to as a final message,
Yeah.
if you could offer a simple practice that somebody might start engaging in today that could up-level their healing trajectory in whatever area of their life, be it the physical, the emotional, the etheric, the mental, the spiritual level, is there something
I'm going
about
to
living?
offer two things.
Okay, great. Thank
Okay.
you.
The first thing is a principle called good, better, and best. It means at any moment you can choose what's good for you. You can make a choice of something that might be a little better, or you can go full hog and choose the very best that you can possibly do. Now you can take that to vegetables. I'm going to have a lettuce salad. It's one lettuce. And I have to get it from the grocery store. It's conventional. It's full of pesticides and whatever, but it looks fresh enough. I'm going to bless it. That's the good. You can bless the toxicity out of that lettuce. And then the better would be I'm going to add some more vegetables into that and make a great dressing, homemade, not bottled. And the best is I'm going to make a magnificent salad. There's always a choice, whether it's food, whether it's an activity, whether it's who you love, whether it's what you read, whether the movies you see. There's always a possibility of good, better, and best. And that is not something I'm giving you. You know it's good for you. You can choose it. You know it would be better. You know what would be the best. It has to come from inside. Now, a practitioner of some kind can help you sort that perhaps and say, well, you might want to try that. And that can give us an idea, which is great. But, so that's a very practical thing. And I've used it all my life. And I teach it and share it with all my clients and students. It's good, better, and best for you. The other
And
thing is,
what's so important about that is at every moment
yeah,
between a stimulus and response, there's a little space for us to choose.
there
And if
certainly
we
is.
can just pause long enough to make that choice, good, better, and best is a great way to proceed.
It
Thank you.
It really helps. And that, what you just said, is it has to do with how we respond
Yes.
opposed to react. And
Yes.
begin to get that gap in your life when you start really being aware you want it. And you can see, I could react right now, or I can take a breath, take a moment and realize, what's the big deal? Can I
Good.
flow with it? So the other thing is something that I call the rejuve breath. And because rejuve is a hands-on process, people sit at a lower massage table. I teach them how to hold their bodies so that they're holding their own body's weight, right? They are holding the weight. They're not putting it on someone. And all of that requires a certain quality of flow and breath. And so in rejuve, we work with the breath as we're doing strokes. Not rigidly, not like, oh, you breathe in here and you breathe out there. That's not it. It's like you feel the flow of what the breath is doing. And so there's a breath which we call the rejuve breath. And I explain it by literally there's a breath that comes up from it's the cosmic orbit, basically. But I didn't know that when I started teaching it. And what you're doing is you're breathing from the base of the spine, you're breathing up your spine, and you're breathing here, and then it rolls around, and you allow the breath to sink down to the root again. Because there are 7 chakras along here, energy centers that absorb and digest energy for us. So you do a breath in and you do a breath out, but it's more than that. Because in our work, we want to lift that which has weighted people down, that which have constrained them, and they don't even know it. So the breath that we do as rejuve is taken off an Olympic young Olympic gymnast who's on the bars and he's swinging around the bars and we just finished watching it and they whip around and they go straight up and they hold it and they hold it and your breath is held. My God, what is that young man doing? Then he goes and he allows his body to continue the fall. And that happens a number of times in all the great sports. But that's an easy one for us to remember. So for me, that means that when you breathe, you bring that breath and you go beyond your crown chakra. You go beyond your head as far at the height that is perfect for you and that person. You bring them up energetically a little bit, and only then do you allow yourself, like the young man on the bars, flipping the energy around and letting it fall with grace down to the root. And you make that breath, the breath that you do, you get there and you lift everything within my being, is I'm a worker, and you bring it above, so it's a breath above the breath. And what I've found in all the people I've taught is they do that mentally. They bring that breath all the way up, and you go beyond to your height, and you hold it like that young man does. He doesn't move. You just hold your breath. You're not holding your breath, you're holding the energy, and then it naturally rolls round and comes down through your body and down to the root again. And on the root, it rolls round and the breath brings it up. But it always is the breath above the breath that does the healing. It's almost like an
Nice.
offering to that which is divine in that person.
That's so nice. And it connects to that beautiful energy that brought us here. So
You, you bet.
fabulous.
Absolutely, Paul.
Well, so good to be with you. Thanks for being a part of this and all the best. Peace and blessings.
Thank you, Paul, very much. Have a wonderful year. May this year bless you in ways no other year has. And may that
Thank
be
you.
true for everyone who listens, myself included.
Amen. I hope you enjoyed this conversation with Dr. Linda Burnham. One of the key insights is that healing isn't just about addressing physical symptoms. It's about understanding the deeper layers of who we are and how these deeper layers interact. We've explored how the body communicates through signals, how energy and consciousness shape experience, and how recognizing our multiple dimensional nature can open new pathways for healing. To learn more about Dr. Linda Burnham, visit burnhamsystems.com. And now, in the second part of the podcast, I'll share how these ideas can be applied more practically, helping you become more aware of your own body, your energy, and your internal state. We'll look at ways to support inner regeneration, strengthen presence, and create alignment between your physical experience and your deeper sense of self. Let's get started. Hello, welcome back. We're going to continue with our exploration of the great messages that came through in my conversation with Linda Burnham. There are 5 areas that I would like to get into with you and suggest paraliminals that could go along with each of those areas. So the first is about listening to the body. If we're not used to that, it's a little bit tough. But if we recognize that the body really is the messenger, the symptoms may be the messenger, and use those as the beginning of healing, then we're spot on. The second is how we can understand these 5 levels of being in a way that really helps us in our ongoing wellness and well-being and in our healing practices. Next is the idea of the emotional and mental influence on the body, how feelings and beliefs really do shape how things are going to go. And then the idea that we talked about toward the end, which is regeneration from the inside out, really activating the body's natural intelligence to help us. And finally is the idea of presence, this kind of loving intentionality that will help everything around us and within us guide us to that fullest expression of who we are, what the body and mind have always been meant to bring to us, which is freedom and peace and joy. All right, so let's get into it. First, it's this idea of listening to the body. There are 2 paraliminals that can really help. One is perfect health. If you've never heard it, it's wonderful. I actually have you separate and imagine your body is there in front of you and you're working on your body, and your ideal self is also working on your physical body at the same time. Very cool process. It really helps to align the mind, the body, the energetic body, the spiritual body, all of us into this natural alignment for natural healing. It was influenced by a book by Paul Pearsall many years ago, wrote a book called Super Immunity. And so the protocol that I'm using in Perfect Health follows that map. It's very neat. The second is the idea of it's a paraliminal called 5-element healing. It has to do with the 5 organ systems within us and how each organ system has a particular color. As Linda was talking about, they all have their own vibration. And so we're working with our mental imagery to bring that ideal vibration to each one of these energetic systems that can help bring balance within the body. 5-element healing. So now let's talk about the 5 levels of being. When we really recognize that we're not just three-dimensional beings, right? We have multiple dimensions. We've got the physical body, we've got the etheric body, we've got the emotional body, the mental body, and the spiritual body all working together. Two paraliminals that can help us really not only connect with these levels of who we are, but then also accentuate them, help them align for the highest expression of our life energy, our life purpose. So the first one is called self-actualization. This helps us really connect with our deepest purpose and also our greatest potential. It's based on Abraham Maslow's concept of the five-stage hierarchy of need, where the highest stage is self-actualization. But it also goes on the idea that he was talking about something beyond self-actualization. It's called self-transcendence. And if we think about what Linda was sharing with us in her presentation, it's really about everything working together for our highest good. Where are we going? Why are we here? Where are we going? Self-actualization paraliminal. The next one is called intuition amplifier. This really helps us integrate our intuition, our intelligence, and our self-expression together. It gives you more access to, as she referred to, not just the conscious, concrete part of the mind, but that intuitive, creative part that can help guide us in our healing, guide us in the next steps we need to resolve whatever problem or challenge that may face us and get us to our greater expression. The third area that we talked about is this idea of the emotional and mental influence on the body. We know that our feelings and our beliefs both tend to shape what's going to happen to us, how we respond. So I think that there are two paraliminals that could really help here. One is called letting go. It's the paraliminal I did with Hale Dwoskin based on the Sedona method, specifically the triple welcoming. And it's about releasing emotional patterns that may be contributing to any imbalance that's going on with us. And oftentimes, when a new emotion comes, we want to resist it. But if we let it land and then we let it go, then it doesn't stay, it flows. And thoughts occur, emotions occur as a result of those thoughts. We don't have to lock in those patterns. We can notice them, we can welcome them, we can let them pass. Very powerful paraliminal. The second one is called belief. So you actually work directly with your beliefs. It helps you shift from limiting belief patterns to more self-enhancing, beneficial beliefs. So there's actually two sessions in that one. It helps you identify and rewrite the negative or self-limiting belief. And then in the second side, install a belief that could be more life-enhancing, life-fulfilling, life-sustaining for you. Quite powerful process. All right, the fourth area is this idea of regeneration from the inside out. And this is where we're activating the body's natural intelligence. One paraliminal that I developed for this purpose is called Recover and Re-energize. And it's about, it takes the idea that our physical body has such amazing integrity. We can take in liquids and foods and air and movement, and the body does what's necessary to give us a robust and healthy life. And sometimes we'll stress our body, we'll strain our body. Strain and recovery is a great way to build our physical body, our resilience, our capacities. And when we do that, we want to support the restoration of our vitality and the realignment and internal balance that is necessary. So once you've really pushed, it's great to do a little recover and re-energize paraliminal. It's not as short as some. It's about 27 minutes long. I like to listen to it after a heavy workout, and that could be an emotional workout as well as a physical workout. The second paraliminal in this idea of regeneration and this idea of realigning ourselves from the inside out is deep relaxation, because it's the longest paraliminal. It helps to calm and restore the mind, the body, the emotions. And that really also accelerates the potential for repairing and regenerating anything that may be going on within us. So it's a great one. People will substitute that for taking a nap. It's really good. The final area is this idea of presence and the loving intentionality. And as Linda suggested, this really is at the heart of everything. This concept of being able to be a clear presence and to be able to have a loving intentionality. Now, she was referring to this in terms of the practitioners that she was training, but she's also saying for you, working with yourself, be that presence, be in a state of unconditional positive self-regard and have a loving intention for your own healing journey, whatever that may be for you, to release traumas and early childhood memories that aren't serving, or to be able to get on the healing path for an illness or a disease that may have landed in you in your life. Two paraliminals I really love in this area. One is called joy, the other is called gratitude. Joy helps to create a very receptive state where the healing processes can occur. So it's a great feel-good paraliminal. I've been busy all day. I want to take a little break. Joy is a great way to do that. And a great way to start the day or finish the day is the gratitude paraliminal, because this is cultivating emotional coherence, but also an openness, as Linda says, in order to start any healing process. If someone sought her out as a complementary and alternative to traditional medical interventions, then they're already in a fairly receptive state. But for us to do that for ourselves, to create this openness to the good that is ready to come to us, very powerful. And then you do your good, better, best, you do your breathing, you know that you're in a place that's going to bring you back into the alignment, the balance, and the true, full expression of who you are. Thanks for being here. Hope you enjoy all of the paraliminals. Do listen to them. They'll make a profound difference and support you in your life. Peace and blessings. See you next time. Thanks for joining me today. I applaud your willingness to maximize your potential. You can easily use the paraliminal audio sessions in the MindTracks app to stimulate your non-conscious mind, that is your inner mind, to reduce any resistance in your life and propel you toward the success you want. Go to mindtracks.com/go. These amazing audio tools have helped millions, and I encourage you to bring them into your life today. Be sure to come back for more episodes of the MindTracks podcast. You'll find insightful conversations with authors, experts, and thought leaders, all devoted to improving your life's experience. And if you found value in this episode, please be sure to subscribe share, and give us a 5-star rating. It really helps get the word out to more people who can benefit. Thank you again for being here on our Mind Tracks podcast.